Hey yo, as promised, here is my blog about the 2013 draft quarterbacks that I told you last week that I'd be talking about. Now, aside from Geno Smith, Ryan Nassib, EJ Manuel, and those guys that everyone has been talking about, I'm here to talk about a few other ones that may have been just a little bit under the radar. Now, a lot of the experts are saying that this isn't a strong quarterback class, that there's really no good prospects in this draft, but I'm here to tell you that that is wrong. This is a very strong quarterback class that is coming in. Now, I know we've been spoiled, if you will, with last year's class with all the quarterbacks that came in and immediately went into starting roles. RG3, Andrew Luck, Wilson, Tannehill, just to name a few. Now, there's not a lot that may come in and start right off the bat, but this is a very strong class. For them to say that it's not a strong class is completely ridiculous. But that's what I'm going to be talking about today, so let's get started. Okay, first guy I'm going to be talking about is Tyler Wilson out of Arkansas. Now, he's not the ideal height that you want in a quarterback for the NFL. He's 6'2", he's 215 pounds. NFL teams are looking for quarterbacks in the 6'5", 6'6" range, roughly around the 250 mark and above. Not getting near the 300 range, but 250, 6'6", that's a decent sized quarterback. He'll be able to take those big hits from the linebackers and safeties that will be coming in, and even some defensive ends coming off the end on the rush. Now, Wilson compares well to Philip Rivers from the Chargers. He's a very traditional quarterback. He can make some dazzling throws. Has a very strong arm, but he does have some mobility to him. Not like RG3 or anything like that. Some stats here from Arkansas in 2011. He completed 63.2% of his passes for 3,632 yards with 24 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. Now, that type of effort, I mean, those are great stats. But if you can complete over 60% of your passes in a single season, I don't know why NFL teams aren't looking at him. He is well ranked quarterback-wise, since this isn't a strong quarterback class. But he is the sixth quarterback in the draft right now. Probably going to fall to the second round, late second round, maybe even pushing to the third round. But I like Wilson. He's a tough thrower. He'll stand in the pocket and take those shots while delivering a strike down the field. So those are good things that you want out of your quarterback. Next guy on my list is Mike Glennon. Now, Mike Glennon is 6'7", 225 pounds. The ideal weight and height for a quarterback in the NFL. Glennon from North Carolina State didn't have the starting job when he came in. He was battling now NFL starter Russell Wilson before Wilson transferred to Wisconsin in 2011. Then the job was given to Mike Glennon. Since the two were battling, it was a toss-up for the coaches there at North Carolina State. Glennon ultimately the better choice now because he did complete 3,054 yards. He had 32 total touchdowns and had 62.5% of his passes be complete when coming in to fill in for the transferred out Wilson. The next season, when he had a full season under belt, he had 4,031 yards. The touchdowns were right about the same. He had 31 touchdowns. The completion percentage was down a little bit, but I think that was due to he played a little bit more games, so it was 58.5% of his passes. He compares well to a Derek Anderson from the Panthers. With only a few seasons as a called starter, Glennon has some upside to him. I don't think he will come in and start, but if you look at his highlight reel, he warrants a top draft pick and maybe even top 5. A surefire pick for one thing. There is some development issues that he will need when he comes into a team built under a quarterback, under a starting quarterback, but he does make a few mistakes that he will need to work on and get those figured out. But once he does, I think he'll be a great addition to any team. Last guy that is underrated that I want to talk about before I get into a little bit more deeper topic about Geno Smith, because I will be getting to him, is Tyler Bray from Tennessee. Now, Tennessee hasn't seen a good quarterback since Peyton Manning was there, and we all know what happened with him. Now, Bray in 2011, I think this is why he's getting such a low rating, probably going to be a third, maybe even a fourth rounder. He did get hurt in 2011 against Georgia, but he was completing 60% of his passes for 1,983 yards. He had 17 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions. Now, when he did come back to play a full season and came back from his rehab from that shoulder injury, he completed 3,621 yards on 59.6% passing, had 34 touchdowns to just 12 interceptions. Bray compares well to a Jay Cutler. Now, like Cutler, he has a tremendous arm. It is probably one of the strongest arms in this draft class that I've seen, and he's very confident in that fact. So he does make a lot of risky throws rather than going with the safer option because he does believe in his arm a little bit too much for my liking. That is why he will be probably a third, maybe even a fourth rounder. But he does propose some upside. He's 6'6", 232 pounds, ran just about a 5 flat 40, so it does have a little bit of mobility because Andrew Luck did run a 5 flat 40 almost. He was in the 5-second range for his 40, and people still like his mobility. So more of a traditional, strong-armed, very confident, but may lack a little bit of leadership that he's going to have to convince NFL teams. That is why he will fall to the third or fourth round. Now, it's time to talk about Geno Smith. Now, I know everyone knows his stats because he's been all over ESPN and every type of sports news that you can possibly think of, so I'm not even going to bother saying him. He does compare well to an Alex Smith. Both are highly efficient, very accurate passers. Geno Smith is a little bit more accurate on the deeper throws, but most say that it is because he's the product of the WVU system, but I don't believe that. He has great mobility, which will force defenses to watch him more carefully than they will some of these other guys here, because he does pose that threat to run and can and probably will run if need be. Now, his skills translate to the NFL in my eyes. He is a very accurate quarterback. He completed in the first 5 games, which they won, over 81% of his passes with 24 touchdowns and no interceptions. Now, he did have a downward slide after that, but you can't say anything about Geno Smith. He has great leadership roles. You can ask anyone at WVU. And he proposes great football knowledge, which everyone has said he doesn't have. Even in John Gruden's quarterback camp, he proved that he does have the quarterback knowledge to be probably the first quarterback taken in the draft. Now, if he isn't the first one, I believe Ryan Nassib will take him over as the first quarterback taken in the draft, just because Buffalo, now getting rid of Fitzpatrick, does need a quarterback. And at Syracuse, now their offensive coordinator from Syracuse, who Ryan Nassib was recruited by and started in, is now their head coach. So be looking for Ryan Nassib or Geno Smith to be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft. So there you have it, my 5 guys that are underrated and can be very well sleeper picks in this NFL draft. Now I'll be putting out videos every Thursday, so be looking for those on my YouTube channel and Bonaventura83 if you don't already know it. Subscribe to it. You can follow along with me. And until next time, you keep doing what you do, and I'll keep you up to date with everything sports.